Demon's Servitude, Book 2, written by Carl East, narrated by Scarlett Day.
Demon's Servitude 4. Alysia awoke with a start and quickly scanned the room for danger, but believed that she was alone. She had that dream again, the one where her powers had been stripped away, leaving her defenseless. Was it just a dream, or a portent of something more sinister? That is what she needed to know. She turned to face the clock, and marveled at how easy it was in this century to say, with some accuracy, what time of the day it was. Then she felt the bulge in her panties, and looked under the covers to see the head of a huge cock sticking out from the hem of said panties. Oh, that's right. I fucked my servants a few times last night, but why hasn't my cock faded away yet? She asked herself. Because you made us strengthen the magic before you cast the spell, said a faint voice on the floor at the foot of the bed. Alysia peered over the edge of the bed, only to find Natasha and Bridget, her two demonic servants, naked on the floor. "What are you two doing down there?" asked Alysia. "When you'd had your way with us last night, collapsing onto the floor afterwards seemed like a good choice at the time. We are succubi, but even we have never known any mortal to possess the kind of stamina you seem to hold sway over. Quite frankly, being fucked by you isn't something you forget any time soon," replied Natasha. Just then the maid came into the room with her master's tray and a cheerful smile. "Good morning, master. I have your breakfast. Would you like it on the bed?" she said. Alysia stared at her mortal servant and wondered what was different about her. And then her maid turned around to open the curtains and revealed that she was only wearing an apron, as her backside was completely exposed. Alysia's cock jerked from the sight of that small but sweetly rounded ass, and Natasha witnessed the cock growing. It was a sight Natasha knew all too well, but one which never stopped impressing her. She'd experienced that monster inside her on a number of occasions, and those memories alone were enough to make her smile. However, her master now had her maid in her sights, and Natasha wondered if Claudette could manage such a large cock. Claudette had been someone on the verge of dying until Alysia had rescued her from a nasty demon who had raped and killed her mother. She was a tiny little thing, and looked more like a child than a 23-year-old maid. She seemed so fragile and petite, and yet her body belied her age. Her breasts were large, and her waist was slim, but she was short in stature, and looked as if a strong wind could blow her over. Natasha watched Claudette, who turned back to face her master, and only then noticed how disheveled her master's hair was. "Would you like me to brush your hair, master?" said Claudette. "Has she not noticed the cock?" thought Natasha, as Claudette approached the bed again. There was no way Claudette had missed what was clearly evident, but she seemed to be successfully ignoring it. Alysia was just staring at her maid's figure, and then unconsciously started to stroke her growing appendage. Yes, you can brush my hair if you'd like," responded Alysia, rather belatedly as she sat up straight in bed. Claudette grabbed the brush that was near to the side of the bed and slipped onto the bed before sitting astride her master and standing up on her knees to get close to her master's head of hair. Alysia was sitting up now, so she could smell her maid's freshly bathed body, and noticed a hint of scented perfume as the brush moved through her hair. She could also sense her cock twitching between Claudette's legs each time she sat back, and within seconds, Natasha, who was still at the end of the bed, could see Alysia's cock standing up and pressing against Claudette's butt cheeks. Alysia closed her eyes to enjoy the sensual sensation of the brush moving through her long hair, and the mix of both the pleasure of the brush and the smell of her servant was making her feel hot. The end of her cock throbbed, and when Alysia opened her eyes to look at her maid, she found herself face to face with the sweetest young woman, and to top it off, she had a cleavage that would turn any head. Until that moment, Alysia had kept herself in check. She didn't want to take advantage of her maid, having given her a way to repay Alysia for rescuing her all those months ago. However, it appeared to Alysia that Claudette was acting strangely mischievous, and unlike the polite young woman she normally was. That became a little more evident when Claudette unfastened her apron and allowed it to fall away before thrusting her breasts into her master's face to reach the hair at the back of her master's head. Alysia couldn't contain herself any more. She covered Claudette's right nipple subconsciously and began to
Sample complete. Ready to continue?